Welcome to the Humane Society of Missouri Second Chances Telethon. I'm Virginia Kerr, and I'll be your host for tonight's program. Many of us have wonderful memories of our very first family pet. Maybe it was a puppy that your mom surprised you with, or a stray kitten that happened to wander onto your doorstep. But whatever the circumstance, that first pet is always special. There's something about the unconditional love that animals offer us that creates a lifelong bond, as long as the people who care for those animals are able to return that love. Unfortunately, not all animals have the chance to experience that unconditional love in return. Sometimes animals suffer as a result of being caught in tragic situations brought on by people. Maybe it's as simple as an owner who can no longer care for their pet and must surrender it. Or it could be something as deeply disturbing and sinister as a dog-fighting ring that abuses and destroys animals for their own sick, twisted ego and financial gain. That's why for more than 140 years, the Humane Society of Missouri has stood as a voice for animals, both large and small, providing rescue and shelter to those abused and neglected, veterinary care to those injured, and adoption services to people who truly want and need a loving animal in their lives. The work is demanding and never-ending, and caring for these animals is costly. So tonight, we're asking for your help as a community. In the next hour, we're going to present you with a number of stories that have touched our hearts, stories we feel will also touch yours. Right now, I'd like you to meet the president of the Humane Society of Missouri, Kathy Warnick.
Thank you, Virginia. For every success story we'll see, there are hundreds, even thousands of animals who still need our help. They need us and we need you. The Humane Society receives no money from federal, state, or local taxes. We receive no funds from the United Way. We depend on your generous contributions for our support, and now the need is greater than ever. Last year, more than 85,000 animals needing a second chance received our assistance. We provided desperately needed help thanks to our generous donors. Now we're asking for your help in continuing our mission of rescuing animals in need, such as the precious dogs, cats, horses, and yes, even mules like Bella, who's featured in one of our stories tonight. Please help us help animals in need. You can call at any time. Volunteers are standing by. Charge your donation on Visa, MasterCard, Discover, or American Express. Our toll-free number is 877-803-0078, or you can make a secure donation on our website, hsmo.org.
Our first story is a lot of fun. It's about two very spirited golden retriever mixes named Lunchbox and Thermos. They were adopted by a woman who's discovered the joys of walking her dogs, as well as the importance of Velveeta.
I used to work across the street from the Humane Society, and during meetings would always get distracted by the parade of adorable dogs walking by. And from that, always knew, just kind of came to the point of, I really want a dog of my own. I first saw Lunchbox's picture, and he just had a smile on his face. And so after a few visits to the Humane Society, I finally met my dog Lunchbox and decided he needs to come home with me. He was about a year old when I adopted him and had been an owner turn-in. And so I just feel so lucky that something that didn't work out for someone else worked out for me. Well, I'd had such a great time with Lunchbox and running around with him that I decided it would be fun to have a second dog. And so I had kind of been perusing the Humane Society website from time to time just to see what little friends might be out there. And when I saw Thermos, he just looked so friendly and cheery, and I knew he would fit in great. When I first thought about adopting, I'd never owned a dog before. I had no idea. So I made a few trips, and the adoption counselors were so helpful in letting me know what to expect, what breeds might be a good fit for me.
How we doing? Huh?
My dogs definitely take me for a walk, but it is such a fun time. I feel like I'm out and about more than I would have been on my own, and it's so fun to be with them and watch them explore and sniff everything out. The great thing is, too, I know so many more of my neighbors. I know my neighborhood better, and it's just been such a fun little adventure. My two dogs really do get along well. They're both golden retriever mixes, and so part of that is the breed, but part of it I think is their temperament as individual dogs. I've found that the secret ingredient for keeping my dogs happy turns out to be Velveeta. So, a little bit odd, nothing that I would have expected, but Velveeta is the key to Lunchbox and Thermos's happiness, apparently. I think that my dogs both know that they are living the dream. I think they both know that life is good with me, and I'm glad because they deserve that, and it's been such a great thing to have in my life. I think they both look around and think this is a land of wonder that they're in, There are dog bones, there are treats, there's Velveeta. Everything is perfect for them. I love that I was able to give these two animals a second chance by adopting them from the Humane Society. They are worth it, and they deserve it, and have really added so much to my life. I'm glad I was able to give them a second chance.
The cost of caring for animals in our adoption centers is a large part of the Humane Society's annual budget. It's an ongoing commitment that goes to the very core of our mission. Every dollar you contribute to the Humane Society goes to a very good cause. A $20 donation provides 10 days of care for an abandoned, abused dog. A generous gift of $100 provides the necessary veterinary care for 2 dogs rescued from an abusive puppy mill. Please call now and be a part of our commitment to caring. Our toll-free number is 877-803-0078, or you can make a secure donation on our website, hsmo.org. Well, look who's here. We've got Lunchbox and Thermos, and they decided to bring along Kate. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine. They're so pretty.
Oh, thanks.
How are
I love
things
them.
going?
Things are going great with the two dogs. It's quite a bit of hubbub, but it's worth it. They're just so much fun and full of energy, and can really cheer you up.
So tell us about the adoption process. Was it love at first sight?
Yeah, it was definitely love at first sight. I was out of town when a friend sent me Lunchbox's picture over email, and I knew I had to hurry back to St. Louis and scoop up this dog before somebody else did.
Where did you come up with these names, Thermos and Lunchbox?
I always knew I wanted my pets to have non-people names so that there wouldn't be any, my grandma's name was Lunchbox. That never happened.
That's terrific. I bet not.
Great.
Before you go, you have to tell us what's up with the Velveeta cheese.
Velveeta has become an important component of my life in a way I didn't expect. Turns out one day Thermos kind of made a little escape, and I just reached for the first thing in the fridge, which was Velveeta, and he was home in an instant. So now when things are a little bit zany, Velveeta is the ticket for both dogs.
Oh, I guess
Maybe
so.
it's time for some now. Oh.
All right, well, I'll let you go home so you can get him some Velveeta.
Thanks.
Thanks for coming by. I cannot think of a better reason to call the Humane Society right now to make your donation. Lunchbox and Thermos want all homeless dogs like they used to be to have a second chance. Coming up after the break, a story that begins with a heart-wrenching horse rescue and ends up with 4 loving adoptions.
Introducing Purina One Beyond, a new food for your cat or dog.
Hi,
Hi, meet Polo. He's a 2-year-old Cairn Terrier who came to the Humane Society about 2 weeks ago with an injured eye, and as you can see, we were able to repair that for him, and now he's ready for adoption. He's just one of hundreds of dogs that are available for adoption at one of our 3 locations, Chesterfield Valley, Maryland Heights, or our headquarters on Mackland. And we just ask here at the Humane Society that when you're considering adding a new furry friend to your family, that you consider adoption as the very first option.
Our next story begins with a heart-wrenching horse rescue and ends with 2 people who are firm believers in their love of animals. They also believe in the adoption process and in providing second chances to animals who otherwise might not have any chance at all.
Lenore was the first horse that we adopted from Longmeadow. Lenore's my horse, and we had been visiting Longmeadow for several Saturdays. I never had a horse before, so we talked to Scott about the fact that I was a beginner and asked him for a recommendation on the horses that were here that he would recommend for me.
It's about the personalities, so I try to meet the people, consider the horses that we have here, and truly what might be the best match. I'm pretty proud of that.
Lenore was one of those horses that he recommended.
Once we get an initial interest in the horse, we then take it out, introduce each other. As I always say, kick the tires and smell the tailpipe. Give that people those opportunities to recognize the animal.
I got to meet her outside of her stall. He brought her into the arena, and I spent some time with her, and then he asked me if I wanted to ride her.
When Anita and Lenore first met, you can see the horses kind of get a light in their eye sometimes, might be the best way to describe it. They truly themselves make a connection. So it's not just the human to horse relationship we're interested in, it's also the horse to human relationship.
I just felt so comfortable with her. I said, yes, I'll ride her. Lenore was part of a large rescue. Lenore had a lot of problems with her feet. She was also very, very thin. We have a picture of her that the Humane Society gave us of her admission. When I look at it, I could cry to see what that horse went through and to see that she was starving to death. In the picture, she has her head down. You can see the despair in her face. You know, it just really gets to me to see that. She's a very, very sweet horse, and you would just never know that she had suffered that type of neglect. Bella is Frank's mule, and we actually didn't come to Longmeadow looking to adopt a mule. We were actually looking at another horse out here, a horse for Frank to ride. We were here one day visiting Princess, and Frank met Bella, and he just immediately was drawn to her. We had found out that Princess had a leg injury that was going to make it that she couldn't be ridden by an adult. So he latched on to Bella, and now he has Bella.
I remember the first time I saw her, she was bucking in her stall. She seemed to be a happy to be a live animal.
Bella is very spirited. She's very happy animal. She's very playful. She's really a lot of fun to watch, particularly watching her and Frank together.
She's extremely smart. She learned very well. Another opportunity, we put Frank and Bella together, and 2 mules collide. So
we still continued to come out here to check on Princess. She was here for a while. I mean, we just weren't seeing that anybody was adopting her. We talked about it and decided that we would follow through with our plan that we had, that we would adopt her even though that we can't ride her. So she's a pasture buddy, and it's just been within the last few weeks that I've actually seen some signs that she seems to be trusting me.
Well, it's a learning process. I mean, your entire life with a horse should be considered learning opportunities. I mean, every day offers an opportunity to learn something new. Every situation. The horse thinks for itself, it makes its own decisions, and you learn to have a relationship with it. You learn to build a trust with one another. It's an amazing thing, and I think Anita will be glad to tell you, it's an amazing thing once you build that trust.
I've had relationships with my cats and my dogs for many, many years. There's something about a horse, though. I don't know if it's their size, the fact that they put their life in your hands and some extent you put your life in their hands. I know when I'm riding her, I have to trust her. Having the relationship with her, the communication that she and I have developed between each other, that has just been just a wonderful experience for me. I do believe that animals who are rescued from the kinds of situations that Bella and Princess and Lenore were rescued from, I really believe that they know that they were saved.
Longmeadow is where all of Anita and Frank's horses were rehabilitated before their adoption. And as you might imagine, the costs involved in providing care for abused and neglected horses is tremendous. But later in our program, I'm actually going to visit Longmeadow and show you firsthand all of the important work they're doing. Coming up after a quick adoption break, the rebirth of what was once America's dog, the American Pit Bull Terrier.
And it's time for us to remember what the breed is really about and give them a chance.
Hello, Mrs. Rhodes. Turn that down. No, I'm here at the office. I heard you were moving your accounts to Scottrade. I work with a bunch of liars, right? Yeah, webinarios, sure. Yeah, I can make up words too. What? Oh, they have a knowledge center. That's great. I have a unicorn ranch.
Scottrade helps you take charge of your investments with an easy-to-use investing platform and first-class customer support.
Can we return the champagne?
Scottrade. Get invested.
In a story that made national headlines, the Humane Society of Missouri spearheaded the largest dogfighting raid and rescue in American history. Some 500 dogs were rescued from the torture of this despicable blood sport. Initially, estimates were that fewer than 5% of these dogs could be successfully placed. Yet the Humane Society achieved the impossible. Nearly half of those deserving dogs were placed in homes and with rescue groups throughout the country, all due to the amazing spirit of these dogs and the expertise and love of Humane Society of Missouri staff and volunteers. Ellie was one of those lucky enough to be reborn into a caring family, and this is her story.
We got an email from the volunteer manager, and they were looking for volunteers that could come to the temporary shelter and help with the 500 dogs.
I don't know if anybody knew what to expect walking into it. You know, you're visualizing 500 dogs from a dogfighting operation.
You hear the news that these dogs are killing dogs, that they don't have a nice bone in their body. And the first time you opened up a crate to grab a dog for his or her crate to be cleaned, and they came flying into your arms with kisses all over the place, just wanting to be in your lap. I think at that point, everybody realized that these dogs were going to have a much different turn than most people that didn't get to experience that thought.
The amount of dogs that went to rescue groups that are in homes today truly blows away what that prediction was. When you go back in the history of this country, they were America's dog. They were war heroes. Past presidents had American Pit Bull Terriers. Helen Keller, her therapy dog was an American Pit Bull Terrier. Petey from the Little Rascals. People have forgotten the roots of the dog and how they have been a symbol of America. And it's time for us to remember what the breed is really about and give them a chance.
Ellie's story started with the dogfighting bust. She was one of the 500 dogs that was brought in. She was brought in pregnant and underweight. We became very close to Ellie in one of the last sections that was still open. We worked closely with another rescue in St. Louis. They agreed to take Ellie. We had Ellie home for a weekend in the transport to the rescue. And the day that we had to pack up and take Ellie to the rescue organization, I think that's when we knew that we wanted our home to be her home.
So many people have made the comment, boy, you've done so much for her. It's not what we've done for her, it's what she's done for us. She's changed our life.
We knew that bringing Ellie home wasn't going to be a walk in the park. We knew that Ellie had issues, rightfully so. I can't imagine a dog going through what she went through to not have issues. But the one thing that we did promise her was that we were never going to give up on her. She was a Rebec, and she was going to remain that way for hopefully the next 15 years. Yeah, we hope that she lives a very healthy, great, long life, and she's with us for a very long time, because I couldn't imagine anything happening to her. That would be just devastating to us.
Every day, every week, every month, there's big improvements, and I keep a diary, a log of her major moments in our eyes. The Barkus Parade obviously was one of those moments. Music, noise, extreme crowd, especially close to parade time as the streets really became crowded. But I was confident in her, but she still impressed us, and I think she impressed many others. Here's a dog that came from the worst environment that most of us can't even imagine what these dogs went through. And here she is walking down the streets of Soulard on a joyous day, surrounded by other dogs and other people, and she was just one of the group.
Through all the craziness of this house, sometimes, the one thing that we've never regretted is bringing her home. She's just been heaven sent.
It's ultimately what Ellie's about. I think dogs can teach us so much of living for the moment, whether that's laying in the sun, whether that's laying on a favorite blanket, whether that's getting a treat. You know, she'll lay in my arms for 3 hours at night like a baby, you know, and not move until it's truly bedtime. So it's life-changing to have a dog like that in your home.
You will be glad to know that Ellie continues to improve and enjoy her new home. With me now is Debbie Hill, Vice President of Operations for the Humane Society of Missouri, to talk about that rescue experience. Hi there.
Hi.
Well, tell us about this rescue and how much money it must have cost to take care of all those dogs.
The rescue itself was an overwhelming task of manpower and logistics to pull off this tremendous raid that happened in one 24-hour period. What turned into a 7-month emergency shelter process took basically the efforts of our entire organization of staff and volunteers, and basically the heart and the blood, sweat, and tears of everyone involved in our organization.
And can you tell us a little bit about the Animal Cruelty Task Force?
Well, that task force is basically made up of individuals in our organization who basically go out on every single day and intervene on behalf of animals who are at risk, not only here in St. Louis and City and County, but actually throughout the state of Missouri. And it's very unusual in a humane organization to be able to provide that service throughout an entire state. In fact, we're one of only a handful of organizations in the nation who actually provide that service. And that's very important because in many instances, without us being able to provide that, those animals will have no one who will speak up for them or who will intervene on their behalf, and their very lives will be at risk.
Thank you so much, Debbie. And your donation supports the Animal Cruelty Fund of the Humane Society of Missouri. Just $20 provides 10 days of care and food for a dog or cat in Humane Society shelters waiting for their forever home. And a generous gift of $100 provides the necessary veterinary care for 2 dogs rescued by the Animal Cruelty Task Force from a puppy mill. So please call right now and be a part of our commitment to care for those deserving pets. Our toll-free number is 877-803-0078, or you can make a secure donation to our website, and that is hsmo.org.
I'm here with Radar at Long Meadow Rescue Ranch. Radar is just one of many farm animals and horses that have been rescued and is now available for adoption. For directions and hours, please visit our website at www.longmeadowrescueranch.org.
Thanks very much to our generous Second Chances Telethon sponsors, Purina One Beyond Pet Food, naturally delicious ingredients, small steps for sustainability, and a commitment to shelter pets that makes it all come full circle. Scott Trade. Get invested with Scott Trade. where self-directed investors take control of their financial future and become better investors. HeartGuard Plus, the #1 veterinarian-recommended heartworm preventative. And Frontline Plus, kills fleas and ticks fast and lasts. Please support the products and services of these generous companies who are helping abused and homeless animals every day.
And with me now are Jessica Stegan, Special Events Manager, and Laura Renner, the Volunteer Coordinator. Thank you for coming. Nice to meet you. Well, I know there are a lot of big events coming up this spring and summer with the Humane Society. Tell us about those.
We're so excited for Bark in the Park this year. It's set for May 21st at Cricket Field in Forest Park, and it's sponsored by our friends at Purina One. There's tons of great activities for the whole family, and all of the proceeds benefit our animal cruelty fund. So not only can you help the animals by attending the event on May 21st, but also by going online and starting a team now and fundraising before the event takes place.
So a great way to help us with just one day is to volunteer at Bark in the Park on May 21st. So if anyone would like to do that, we would love to have them, and they really do help the animals for just that one day.
Jessica and Laura, thank you so much, and I will see you at Bark in the Park.
Hi, I'm Kathy Warnick, President of the Humane Society of Missouri, and I want you to meet Bubba. He is a 6-week-old Pekingese mix, and he came to us as part of an unwanted litter. He is just adorable. He is so cute and loving, just like all the thousands of dogs, cats, critters, horses, and farm animals we rescue each and every year. We do our very best to provide love, care, and find new homes for each and every one, but we need your help. Please call the number on your screen or visit our website. Your donation is vital to Bubba and his friends. Thank you so very much.
The Humane Society of Missouri provides animal welfare services throughout St. Louis and Missouri. 3 full-service adoption and veterinary medical centers are located in St. Louis City, Maryland Heights, and Chesterfield Valley. The nationally accredited veterinary centers are open to the public with proceeds supporting the care of the animals in Humane Society shelters. And as you saw earlier, Long Meadow Rescue Ranch, located near Union, Missouri, provides horse and farm animal rescue, rehabilitation services, and adoption and horse training. And the Humane Society's Animal Cruelty Task Force responds to reports of animal abuse and neglect in every Missouri county. After a quick break, the president of the Humane Society of Missouri, Kathy Warnick, will take us on a tour of their newest facility in Chesterfield Valley, where adoptable pets and people truly come face to face, and we'll get an insider's look at surgery in their state-of-the-art veterinary operating room.
Hi, I want to introduce you to Frank. He's one of the many wonderful cats that we have available for adoption at one of our 3 locations, Chesterfield Valley, Maryland Heights, or our headquarters on Mackland. And we just ask here at the Humane Society that when you're considering adding a new furry friend to your family, that you consider adoption as the very first option.
We're now at our Chesterfield Valley location, and Kathy Warnick is back with us. And Kathy, this place is so fun and very different. Tell us about it.
It is fun and different, Virginia, and we are so very pleased to have what we call invisible caging at the Chesterfield Valley facility, and you can see the animals up close and personal through this tempered glass, and it's really ideal to showcase the animals.
Yes, and 2 of my favorite things to do, looking at dogs and cats up close and shopping. Looks like there's more than just supplies here in the store.
That's exactly right, Virginia. In addition to getting everything you need for your new pet, we have a great selection of pet-themed gifts, everything from jewelry and photo frames to t-shirts and games. And best of all, proceeds from our gift shop here at Chesterfield Valley help support the homeless animals in our shelter.
Well, tell us what's going on in this room.
These are our Get Acquainted rooms. Prospective adopters can spend one-on-one time getting to know the dog or cat they're considering adopting. People can hold and pet the animals and really make sure this is the right lifelong match for them. These are our adult dog habitats. As you can see, they have the tempered glass, and it is aesthetically pleasing because you can see the animals, and it is an unobstructed view. But in addition to that, we have the fronts and the backs to these kennels. There's two sides, and it enables the animals to be on the one side and have some quiet time away from the public view. It also enables our staff members to clean the kennels, and it really makes it a lot healthier and happier for the animal.
Kathy, before talking to you, I did not realize that your veterinary centers are open to the public and not just for the adopters.
Actually, Virginia, the Humane Society of Missouri operates one of the largest full-service veterinary medical practices in the state of Missouri. We are nationally accredited and provide everything from annual pet checkups to digital radiology and orthopedic surgeries. And best of all, our proceeds from our veterinary centers support the homeless animals in our shelters. The Humane Society of Missouri can't provide these vital community services and have these wonderful facilities without your help. You can become a humane hero with a monthly donation. Your monthly donation will help support an animal like Jetta, who was just adopted.
If you donate just $20, you can provide food and care for a week for 10 shelter pets like Lunchbox or Ellie. Of course, a generous donation of any amount will make a big difference in the lives of homeless animals. Our toll-free number is 877-803-0078, or you can make a secure donation to our website, and that is hsmo.org. Coming up after the break, we'll take you on scene with the Animal Cruelty Task Force during a rescue late last year that saved the lives of dozens of horses. And then we will travel out to Longmeadow Rescue Ranch and see how Saturn, one of the most at-risk horses, is doing today.
Hi, this is Fidget. He's a 5-month-old cat that came to the Humane Society of Missouri as a stray, and he's just one of thousands of animals that come to the Humane Society every single year looking for a new lifelong home. You can adopt your new furry friend at one of our 3 locations, Chesterfield Valley, Maryland Heights, or our headquarters on Mackland. And we just ask here at the Humane Society that when you're considering adding a new furry friend to your family, that you consider adoption as the very first option.
The Humane Society's Animal Cruelty Task Force works closely with local law enforcement to investigate reports of animal abuse and neglect. In this next story, it took a tenacious local sheriff's office, 7 large horse trailers, and many members of the Animal Cruelty Task Force to rescue more than 35 horses and transport them to Longmeadow Ranch for rehabilitation and adoption.
I was contacted by Sheriff Brian Atkins with the Andrew County Sheriff's Department, which is where we're at.
We received information from some of the neighbors that they have a concern of several horses here on this farm that were underfed, not being taken care of, because the owners of the horses don't live on the property.
Upon his receiving another complaint over the course of this weekend, the sheriff himself had responded up, found the situation to be very devastating. Seeing animals with no food, no water, no shelter. The sheriff then delivered 2 large round bales of hay out of his own stock to afford some nutrition to these animals.
I called a local veterinarian that I know and had him come out here Sunday afternoon and look at the horses, and his comment to me was that these horses are definitely malnourished. Basically that if they were allowed to stay here on this property in the condition that they are, and if they didn't get any better, that they would probably most likely not make it.
And it was decided at that point that a higher step of intervention needed to be taken, which leads us to where we're at today.
Oh, you're not good. I've been knee deep in mud.
The conditions here are unbelievable. It's so degraded. We're taking great pains today to document the scene, give it a honest and factual representation of what is witnessed here today or what is present here today.
Hi.
It starts out finding out what we're dealing with, doing a walkthrough of the property, seeing deceased animals, the conditions that the animals' habitat's in, or lack of grass, the dirt barren pasture that they're on, the poor quality hay. Just determining what we have. That's kind of the first phase of what we do when we arrive. From there we kind of transition over into the animal handling portion, the containment portion, actually catching the animals obviously in the safest manner as possible. Right. Shut the door. Easy, 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 babies. Everybody here has a heart. They have a passion. I think if I told any one of the people with the Humane Society, go move that mountain, or tell them that they can't do something, it's going to get done.
I love what we did today, and the idea that we didn't want to stress the horses, didn't want to work them too terribly hard, give them time, adequate time to adjust. The adequate time is the hard part. That's the time you got to wait longer than you want, but it's best for the horse. And the team did really good today, I think, in that manner.
I definitely have a passion for the animals just because they can't speak for themselves. But it means a lot to me to be able to be here and have a hands-on experience, being able to actually pull these animals out of these situations and see them being able to nurse completely back to health.
The point where we're pulling these animals out here and I know they're going to be taken care of, that is the greatest feeling I could have.
My whole goal was to let people know that, you know, in my county anyway, I mean, if you're going to own large animals or large numbers of animals and stuff, you need to either be able to afford to take care of them, you need to be able to afford to spend the time with them, to feed them and properly take care of them, or if not, then we may be doing this again one of these days.
Oh, one.
It's a huge investment to rehab these horses. We'll have veterinarians come out starting tomorrow. They assess each animal individually and they'll come up with a refeeding program, also treatment for their parasites, vaccinating. Once the animals are up to a healthy weight and they've had their feet trimmed and healthy overall, then hopefully put as many of them as possible up for adoption.
It's a privilege and an honor to pull these guys out of these situations and get them to Long Meadow Rescue Ranch. I know they're going to be cared for. So it's an opportunity and it's a privilege to be here. Last night was their last bad night.
What an emotional story. 2 of the horses rescued in that story were too sick and malnourished to make the 200-mile journey back to Long Meadow that night. Sadly, one of those horses did not survive. The other horse, Saturn, who was severely malnourished and underweight, has gained more than 220 pounds and is well on his way to a full recovery. Soon he will be ready for his new forever home too. A few days ago, we made the journey out to the Humane Society's Long Meadow Rescue Ranch to check up on Saturn and to meet Ranch Director Amanda Mullen. Here we are at Long Meadow Rescue Ranch just outside of Union, Missouri. It is beautiful, gorgeous drive out here, and we're on about 165 acres. I want you to meet the director of Long Meadow Rescue Ranch. This is Amanda Mullen.
Hi, Virginia. Welcome to Long Meadow.
Thank you so much for having me. We're here to check on Saturn. I understand he's doing very well.
Yes, he's been here in rehabilitation for about 5.5 months, and he's actually put on 225 pounds.
Well, let's look at him. I want to see what he looks like. Now, this place is huge, and I understand that you can actually take care of hundreds of animals at one time, and you would have to with some of the rescues you guys have been on.
Yes, we've had some rescues with a few hundred animals at a time. We can have, typically we house about 250 animals, and usually between 80 and 100 horses.
Look at Saturn. Hi there.
Let's turn around.
Amanda, Saturn looks so good. And you said he put on 225 pounds in 5 months. How does that happen?
It's a very slow process because when a lot of the rescued horses come in, they are emaciated. They're not used to processing food. So you have to start them out very slowly or you can actually cause them to get sick. So they get small feedings of hay numerous times throughout the day and even into the evening before you can add grain to their diet as well. They're also seen by veterinarians and treated for parasites and dental problems and other injuries they may have when they were rescued from.
Well, you were with Saturn throughout the entire process, so looking at him now and thinking back to what he looked like when you first saw him, how does that make you feel?
It's amazing and thrilling. It was so heartbreaking to see him in the shape that he was in where we rescued him from. He was so thin and he was so weak that he actually went to a vet clinic in that area for 3 days of care, intensive care, to give him some strength and some fluids to see if he could even make the trip to Longmeadow. So when he actually came to the ranch, we weren't sure we'd ever get to see him here. So that was very exciting, and now to see him with all that weight on and an energetic horse and ready to go to a new home is very exciting.
Well, Saturn, you look so good, and I'm sure someone watching right now would love to come visit and take you home. Amanda, thank you so much for showing us Saturn and showing us the ranch, too.
Thank you.
I am so glad I had the chance to visit Longmeadow Rescue Ranch. As you might imagine, the costs involved in providing care for abused and neglected horses and farm animals is tremendous. So your $75 contribution will provide a week of care for a rescued animal like Saturn at Longmeadow Rescue Ranch. $250 funds 5 investigations into animal cruelty, just one of the many ways you can become a part of saving lives and giving animals a second chance. So please call us right now and make your pledge. Coming up after the break, a true recovery miracle as Marshall survives life at the bottom of the pack and lands at the top of a lucky family's home.
Meet Poncho. He's a 3-month-old little Chihuahua that came to the Humane Society of Missouri as a stray. He's just one of hundreds of dogs that are available for adoption at one of our 3 locations, Chesterfield Valley, Maryland Heights, or our headquarters on Macklin. And we just ask here at the Humane Society that when you're considering adding a new furry friend to your family, that you consider adoption as the very first option.
This next story is just amazing. It's about the will to live and perseverance, both from the animal who fought to survive and the people who worked very hard to save him. It's about the power we possess when we combine the science of medical intervention with the saving grace of human compassion. It's a story about the miracle we call Marshall. One of the many incredible services offered by the Humane Society is their veterinary medical centers. And here to talk with us about a dog we lovingly refer to as Marshall the Miracle Dog is Dr. Stephen Schwartz. He's the Director of Veterinary Medical Services here. Hi.
Hi.
Tell us about Marshall and why we call him the Miracle Dog.
Marshall is a very special dog, and in 3+ decades as a veterinarian, I have to say there are a few things that take my breath away, and seeing how badly affected Marshall was really was one of those occasions. He came in with a huge open wound on the side of his face, large enough I could actually put my fist right into that opening. It went all the way down to the raw tissue and bone. He had other open bite wounds that were infected behind his ear, over his shoulder, and quite frankly, he really had no reason to be alive at that point. He was malnourished, dehydrated, but obviously he had the will to live. And that's really what we at the Humane Society need to see to pull all of our forces together to do everything we can to help an animal in a situation like that. So he was put on multiple antibiotics, fluids, was treated for various parasites, and ultimately we were able to get him to the point where he was stable. Ultimately had to amputate one of his legs because it was so badly infected. But the good news to the story and the miracle part of Marshall's story is that he was able to pull through and ultimately was able to be adopted to a loving home, a forever home.
It's just amazing that the Humane Society has the services here to help a dog like Marshall. Tell us about the services, but also how much it must cost to help a dog like that.
Well, when the animals arrive here, it truly is a team effort. We have members of our shelter staff, members of our animal cruelty task force, and the veterinary hospitals who will all do very intensive triage treatment, emergency treatment as needed, and basically at that point evaluating each and every animal and determining what their treatment needs to be going forward. We pride ourselves in the fact that with those animals and with the animals we see from the general public, that ours is really the highest quality of veterinary care. We're accredited by the American Animal Hospital Association and are one of only a group of 5 other hospitals that have accreditation and affiliation with Humane Society. So we offer the highest quality of services to the animals here in our shelter, to the animals that are adopted and come back to our facility, but also to the general public in the St. Louis area. We really encourage people to considering not only providing the best care for their own animals, but with the proceeds that the veterinary medical centers take in, those monies are turned back into the shelter so we can continue to hopefully generate more miracles. They may not be named Marshall, but more miracles just like him.
Well, we have a surprise. Marshall is here, and so is his owner, Cindy. So you get to see him in person.
Hi, Marshall.
Hi.
How's he doing?
He's doing fantastic.
So cute. Oh, Cindy, you have to tell us the story and how you first met Marshall.
Well, actually, I met him on the internet at first, on the Humane Society website. They had done a story on him, and we came across it, and I just thought, who would adopt a dog that has been so battered and bruised and torn up? And my heart just went out, and I just had to have him.
So how is life at home with Marshall and your other dog?
I'll tell you, they immediately bonded extremely well. And in terms of, I immediately start socializing him. I live in a neighborhood, there's a lot of children, and it's a very community feel where I live, the neighborhood is, and I immediately start socializing him so that he got over the feelings of being timid and afraid of people. And in terms of how he adapted to having a brother Mushi, it immediately, like I said, they bonded, and he is as capable as Mushi, his older brother with 4 legs. I mean, there's just no difference. And they play the same way. Wow. It's amazing how he doesn't even know he only has 3 legs. It's just, it blows my mind.
Now you're with Dr. Schwartz, the miracle worker, today. So what do you have to say to him?
Just thank you. You have brought one of the most amazing gifts to my home, to my life. He has changed me. People tell me how great it's been that I've taken him in, and I feel like he's taken me in so many ways. And you saved his life, and you've changed many lives because of it, not just Marshall's.
Well, that's wonderful to hear, and I have to say the credit goes to the entire team here, and really hearing that is what being a veterinarian is all about, but more importantly, it's what the Humane Society is all about. Marshall had as much to do with his recovery as anybody else, because he may be missing a leg, but he's got more than enough heart, and that's really what we all saw in him when we started treating him.
Definitely had the will to survive.
Definitely.
Thank you for bringing him. He is beautiful. Whether it's your time or your money, all we ask is that you do give generously so that more dogs like Marshall can receive the care they deserve. These animals did not ask to be put in these situations, and those of us who truly care owe it to them to make sure it never happens again. You can call at any time this evening. Volunteers are standing by. Charge your donation on Visa, MasterCard, Discover, or American Express. Our toll-free number is 877-803-0078, or you can make a secure donation on our website, hsmo.org. Coming up after the break, we'll meet Charlie. He's not only this year's Bark in the Park official mascot, he's also the dog his adopted dad credits with saving his life.
Introducing Purina One Beyond, a new food for your cat or dog.
Hello again. We appreciate your support for the wonderful work done by the Humane Society. Your past contributions truly made a difference in the lives of the animals we've seen so far in this program. This next story is also about another heartwarming rescue. But the question in this story is, who rescued whom?
I hadn't had a dog or a pet in a long time because the last pet I had when he died, I was so upset that I I swore I'd never have another pet. But a friend of mine, good friends that I met, said to me, you know, this sorrow that we face is the price that we pay for the unconditional love that animals give us. So I went over to the Humane Society on a Thursday night, and Charlie was in his pen, and Charlie was at the front of his cage looking out with his big eyes. I knew right then I had to have him. And they said, well, that's great, but Charlie is going to be promoted on a morning TV show. So you'll have to fill out another application, but we won't make a decision on who's going to get to adopt Charlie until after that TV appearance. So I went to my office the next day and I dictated a 5-page letter about why I should be chosen as Charlie's dad. And I got a call from the Humane Society saying that I'd been selected to be Charlie's dad. So it was a great day and a great news to hear. When I adopted Charlie, I promised him that he could live with me forever. 5 weeks after I adopted Charlie, I went into the hospital with an infection that wouldn't clear up. I found out that I had leukemia, and no one knew when I went into the hospital that first day that I would not be home for 11 months. There were several times during that first 9 weeks when the doctors thought I was not going to survive, and it told my friends, if you want to see Bob, you need to come to visit him now because we don't think he's going to be around. Knowing that I had made this promise to this amazingly sweet, wonderful dog, I could not just give up. One day, to my surprise, my friend Cindy came to visit me, and she had Charlie with her. Now you have to understand that she had not asked the hospital if that would be okay. She just decided that she knew that I felt awful and that I missed Charlie, and she brought him in. One of the nurses came in and just sort of went crazy. Said, you know, you can't have a dog here. This is the ICU. It's the pulmonary ICU. You must take that dog home. And so later that day, one of my critical care physicians, a doctor named Dr. Warren Issakow, came in.
And so I said to him, Bob, what can we do to get your mood better, get you feeling better?
I wrote on this tablet, can my dog come to visit?
I realized how important this animal was to him. I thought that the lift that could give him could actually improve his outlook and get him to start doing physical therapy. It could get him to the point where he could see there was a light at the end of the tunnel here. And so I just said to the nurses, let's see what happens.
And he wrote an order, dog allowed to visit, and put that order in my chart. And for the rest of the time that I was hospitalized, Charlie was a constant visitor.
Some of the nurses gave me a hard time. The one nurse came out one day and said, the dog is licking him right near his trach. And my response was, I'm more worried about what the dog's going to get from Charlie than what Charlie's going to get from the dog.
I think that Charlie helped me to beat leukemia. I'm in remission. Now I got wonderful medical care and prayers more than I maybe deserve. But Charlie was an integral part of my getting better because dogs are amazing in what they can do for your spirit. I don't believe in fate, but I believe that things happen for a particular reason, and Charlie was put into my life for a particular reason. And I would encourage people, if you're thinking about getting a pet, go to one of your shelters, go to the Humane Society, go to a shelter and look at the hundreds of dogs and cats that they have there that want a forever home. And you'll find a blessing like Charlie.
Every dollar you contribute to the Humane Society goes towards a very good cause. For example, just $20 will provide 10 days of care for a sheltered animal. Just $30 will provide microchips for 3 different animals. And a generous gift of $100 provides the necessary medical care for 2 puppy mill rescues. You can call at any time this evening. Volunteers are standing by. Charge your donation on Visa, MasterCard, Discover, or American Express. Our toll-free number is 877-803-0078, or you can make a secure donation on our website, hsmo.org.
Thanks very much to our generous Second Chances Telethon sponsors, Purina One Beyond Pet Food, naturally delicious ingredients, small steps for sustainability, and a commitment to shelter pets that makes it all come full circle. Scottrade. Get invested with Scottrade, where self-directed investors take control of their financial future and become better investors. HeartGuard Plus, the #1 veterinarian-recommended heartworm preventative. And Frontline Plus, kills fleas and ticks fast and lasts. Please support the products and services of these generous companies who are helping abused and homeless animals every day.
For those of us at the Humane Society of Missouri, it's all about the animals and giving them second chances for the loving, forever homes they deserve. Every dog, cat, rabbit, horse, goat, or duck that we rescue and care for just melts our hearts and makes us want to work even harder to heal them and find them just the right home. We could not do this work without our generous donors. For every one of them, we are truly, truly grateful. Sadly, every week, hundreds more animals need our help, and they need your help too. They need loving adopters who are willing to take a wonderful animal into their homes and their hearts, and they need your donations for the life-saving work the Humane Society of Missouri does every day. Virginia, we truly appreciate your help in telling our second chance stories of rescue, rehabilitation, and adoption. And we are so very grateful to all of those who have called in tonight or visited our website to help these deserving animals.
Thank you, Kathy. If you're like me and you love animals, the last hour has been kind of an emotional roller coaster. We've seen very real examples of how the Humane Society makes a difference in the lives of abused and neglected animals and makes our community better. If there's one thing you take with you after watching, remember the faces of those who have been rescued. Look into their eyes. You can see their gratitude. Seemingly small gifts, when combined with the generosity of many others, add up to incredible support for an organization that relies solely on the generosity of our community to survive. I'd like to leave you with the touching words we heard earlier in the show from an animal cruelty task force member. In the midst of a difficult horse rescue, she felt cautiously optimistic that the best was yet to come for the horses when she observed, last night was the last bad night these animals will ever have to spend. Your contributions made that possible. Thank you for watching.